Fuego Gaming may have only finished top 16 at CWL Miami, but I had a chance to sit down to talk with MadCat as far as his thoughts on his squad that consists of obviously himself, but also Hockey, as far as why they could potentially be a surprise factor in Pool B in this episode of 32 on 32. COD fans, welcome back. Good to see you guys again. MadCat is in the mix for us today with the interview, which we'll catch a little bit later on when he talks about Fuego, how they came to be, and how they're looking going into World Championships, and why you should not discredit them as they're going into a very difficult pool. Again, this is a squad that only finished top 16 and are recently put together just before Miami. But as I talked to MadCat, he will say himself that the only thing they really had in mind for the event was just qualify. As soon as they got near the tipping ground of where they kind of started to feel like they met their match, all it came down to was just qualify, and they were able to do just that. So, taking a look at Stars Fuego Gaming and their pool in specific, again, if you have forgotten, it's Gen G Enigma 6 with Team War. A very difficult pool, not only because both of those CWL squads have a lot of resiliency in their past, most of them some recently past, but also Team War finishing top 2 in the open bracket leaves a tough task for any team coming in from the open bracket, let alone Team Fuego, who really didn't get a chance to showcase much of their stuff past the first handful of rounds. Now, getting into this team in specific, you take a look at their roster here on our pools page. It's made of BB Connor, Chalkster, Hockey, MadCat, and Payne. Hockey and MadCat have a lot of experience, not only in this title, but mostly before that. That was the biggest thing, is that these guys came in with a lot of experience. They looked like they were going to be competitors coming into Vegas in the PLQ, and they provided that. But the big question mark are the 3 players that MadCat was able to find to play and get themselves into championships. So let's take a look at their roster in specific and some of the history that these guys have had over the course of 2019. It's interesting because Fuego go a total of 12-6 when they're at their time of CWL Miami, which is surprisingly not bad. I mean, again, that's not bad at all. And they were knocked out of the winner's bracket by Excalibur and eventually finished by Hybrid Gaming. But you look at some of the players individually as far as what history they bring from this title, starting with BB Connor, and most of these guys actually only got significant playing time at London. Now, BB and Chalkster were able to play together on Legion Nation, where they finished top 12 at London. And again, that was by no means an easier spread of teams. So obviously, that's where they started to make their name pretty considerably. Hockey was able to play with Alliance, a team that also finished top 12, and had a number of, again, people that were on that squad that were on the cusp of making the CWL Pro League at the beginning of the year. Payne would also be involved with London, finishing top 16 with Lance. Now, MadCat individually has been kind of taking this game with a little bit of a hiatus, I think is the best way of putting it. After Lightning Pandas, he had gone on Twitter and mentioned the fact that he might be retiring after this game. He had a bunch of things that he had to take care of on a personal level, and the year was a very difficult one for him. But he even says himself, and you'll hear it after Anaheim, he felt that flavor and that fuego, no pun intended, to get back involved with competing. And well, he's able to put together a squad that is able to do just that, not only compete, but find themselves a lot of favor when they were at Miami. They started their weekend off nicely with a 6-0 start before they would fall to Excalibur in 5 games from the winner's bracket. That was in winners round 4, which would have given them a secured top 16 finish. But then they would go down to the loser's bracket. They would beat the Italian team of Qlash Sublime, and then they would go up against Hybrid Gaming. Again, a very difficult pool. You look at the teams that were in round 7, and that's probably one of the more difficult teams that they could have been matched up against. It was a 3-1 that they unfortunately lost against Hybrid before their tournament was ended. A lot of things to consider for this squad, and again, this pool as a whole, I really feel is very heavily involved in the search and destroy. So take a look and a listen as far as what Dylan was able to provide us for some insight when it comes to Fuego Gaming. Joining me from Fuego Gaming, I've got Dylan, aka MadCat, player that, again, I'm sure most of you are familiar with if you've been following along with Call of Duty in the past. Of course, now playing with Fuego Gaming, the number 4 seed coming into their pool in a very, very difficult pool, to be candid. Dylan, you've got my attention, sir. Good to have you. Good to meet you. First and foremost, I just got to get your impressions on the roster as a whole, because this is a team that was really kind of put together post-Anaheim. And where did you find these other 4 guys to kind of make up this squad?
After PLQ, I intended to keep playing, but I played with like some of the old Lightning Pandas team, and I weren't feeling it. I just felt like people's heads weren't really in it, like considering what was on the line, trying to get back where we was. And And then after that, I thought I'd move on from competing, and then some few personal issues happened, a tragic death in the family, and then I had it in my head to just play again, just go for it one last time, and then I was watching Anaheim, and I wanted to play with some new people, some fresh faces,
Hmm.
and I saw a kid playing with a Fonda, a Chaxter, and he looked pretty decent on stream. I hit him up. I said, "Let's try run some." And two of his friends, Connor and Harry, and Connor at the time was playing with Hawkeye anyway, and then Hawkeye came with Harry.
Now, you in hockey in specific, had that experience from the PLQ as hockey was playing with Imperial. Do you guys
Yeah.
kind of feel that as a five-man force, it's more of a collective effort to come through, or do you kind of feel that you and hockey together with the experience that you brought into this title specifically kind of maybe run the show a little bit or kind of build the mindset for the team, or how does that kind of dynamic work?
Oh yeah, I'd say like I'm like the key man behind it, and then Billy second. Like Harry and Connor are quite quiet people.
Hmm.
They're just kind of like sponge all the information and go on there. Chax is a bit of a likes to argue now and then, likes to thinks he knows it all. But yeah, basically me and Billy just they listen to our experience and listen to what we've got to say, and the the transformation from when we first started playing to now is crazy.
Hmm.
Like we still show glimpses of our old self from when we started playing, but like overall, on average, like the transition has been crazy mad.
Now, going back to that time at Miami, okay, the roster gets built. You guys get some experience with one another. You guys start off incredibly well in the open bracket, going 6-0 to start, and then you go up against Excalibur Gaming in that pivotal round 4, which was for the qualifiers to at least secure top 16. You guys fall in
Mm.
game 5, but then you come back to the losers bracket. You qualify in losers round 6, heavy beat the Italian team of Q Supreme, and then it's hybrid gaming. So again, like it's not an easy road for you guys going through Miami. What were kind of the feelings in the moment when you guys were in the open bracket, and kind of how you guys felt afterwards?
I mean, even what was the team name again? Excalibur.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce it right? You could even ask them if we deserved to win that game. It was a 1v1. Someone needed to shoot someone in the back, and we qualified easily. And yeah, the guy didn't get shot in the back, so that was just like the best ever I've ever seen. Like it was literally a 1v1. The guy had his back turned to him and just lost. But after that, the whole mindset was just qualify. Like forget the whole tournament, the one game. Doesn't matter what happens after it. The way we lost, that's all that I cared about at that point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I always go for the win, but at that point there was one goal only for champs. Like put 200% in every last breath you've got, put into it every bit of energy, and then whatever happens after happens. But just win that one game, and to lose against Kolga would have been absolutely an embarrassment. Uh, I think Kolga's been a caster for 3 years, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there was no way we was losing it, but you can never say never. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
So
exactly.
and then once we lost that, we ended up playing a decent team after that. I think it was Sage, and then yeah, we just lost that. I think everyone gave that one game their all, and then we lost.
Now, going into the pools, again, we were kind of talking before we started up the recording of this interview that you guys are still in the EU, still trying to find as many scrims as possible, but there's some hesitancy there because you guys have Team War in your pool. So when it comes to, like you mentioned, you guys are making a lot of strides when it comes to getting better, but do you feel like the diversity of your practice is a little bit more limited? Like, do you feel like you're getting enough rehearsal before you guys get the champs to make possibly a run at Pool B?
I mean, the diversity isn't as deep as the likes of Genji and Enigma 6 will be getting.
Right,
Obviously,
sure.
the quality is way less. Obviously, just way worse. The quality is just not there compared to what it would be if it was in America. But I mean, we got the exact same practice that Wolf getting, so there's no excuses in practice against them guys. But at the end of the day, we have literally nothing to lose. Like literally zero to lose. Like everyone in our pool has more to lose than we do realistically
Sure, that makes sense, yeah.
as a collective. So we're just doing us and trying to make that fill every gap in our gameplay, every hole, fill it, and hopefully when it comes to the tournament, we play better as well. Like I know online's online. Teams can play better at LAN, and I think like we're one of them teams that literally have nothing to lose, so it could play in our favor massively.
You guys are in a pool, just kind of wrap this up really quickly, where search and destroy seems to be a very high priority for the other three teams in your pool. Gen G, of course, is a storied search and destroy team who've been finding a lot more favor in that mode. Enigma 6, since their roster changes, search and destroy has statistically their best mode. And Team War, you're dealing with a number of players that have a lot of experience with one another. Do you guys feel like you also need to be able to go hard in search and be able to at least take map 2? Or do you feel like you're maybe focusing more on the respawn and trying to find an advantage where your opponents might be weaker?
Oh no, our best game mode is S&D.
Okay.
Like, but it's also, we're in a scenario where we have VOD on 2 of the pro teams. The only team that we don't have VOD on is War. So basically we're in a driving seat at like some part of it. Like, but at the end of the day, like, I think we put our minds to it, we can take both respawn and S&D. I think our respawn just as good as our S&D, depending on maps obviously, but on the whole, our S&D is really good.
Fair enough. You know, I had a chance to talk with both Joey Nubsy and General from Gen G and Enigma 6, and they both said no one should be sleeping on Fuego, even though they're coming in as the 4 seed. MadCat brings a lot of experience to every single mode, so it's definitely good to hear a little bit of reiteration from you. Dylan, thanks so much for joining me, and I really do appreciate you taking the time for the interview.
That's cool, man.
You know, the biggest thing that I really enjoy about talking with players like MadCat is they're not only super experienced, but super humble about the positions that they find themselves in. Again, MadCat, I think he was playing a little bit more lightly as far as, you know, how difficult of a year it's been. I mean, again, being on that Lightning Pandas team that took the entirety of the CWL by storm, and expectations were blown out of the water by not only them, but also Team Sween. 2 teams that, again, if you remember back to the narrative that was being framed at Vegas, was Red Reserve is going to be the best team in Europe. That's what they said. And reciprocity, maybe. Like, there's just those 2. Nobody else is paying attention to anybody from Lightning Pandas or Team Sween. They make a lot of waves in the 2K series leading up to Vegas, and then, of course, they do what they did, finishing top 6. And then they get to the PLQ, and it's a very disappointing performance for them, where they're not quite able to qualify through the group stage. So it's been a hard year, and that's got to be difficult as a pro player to sit there and know that I was right there. We were right there as a squad to make it, and we couldn't quite capitalize. And to kind of feel that fire reinvigorated when you get through the back half of the year and say, I want to compete again, I want to make a move, and then to do it, I think is something super, super special. So you heard it from Dylan himself. Again, my expectations for this pool are very difficult. I think the road for Fuego, you know, I'm kind of hoping that for Fuego's sake that what Dylan is saying is absolutely true, that they are feeling very good about their search and destroy, and they're getting better at their respawn day in and day out to where they feel like they can compete against a team like Team War, even though they're only getting limited European practice, while Team War is actually going to be moving over to the States here in a couple of days to finish out their last 2 days before the event itself. And then Enigma 6, again, we know what kind of a ceiling they have. They've been able to finish top 6 twice this year, and Gen G, of course, riding back-to-back seconds. So it's a very tough pool. Unfortunately, I don't think I can see Fuego act realistically getting out of this pool. It would be difficult, let's be candid. Again, just simply due to the opponents. If they were to have found themselves in a different pool, like Pool D, maybe even Pool C, I think the chances go higher. But again, I don't think the stock is super high for a team like Fuego. But I am hoping, again, for these teams that are coming out of the open bracket, you heard it from MadCat himself, they just wanted to qualify. So maybe there are some things that are kind of left in the shadows that they can pull out and be a surprise factor to some of these teams. We've seen upsets happen before when it comes to the group stages at World Championships. It's very likely and very possible that Fuego Gaming could be a culprit of doing that once again. That's been another episode of 32 on 32 for you guys. I really hope you're enjoying the content. Next, we'll be going into Pool C, starting things off with FaZe Clan. You're not going to want to miss that video, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and get notifications by ringing the bell of when my videos pop live. And until the next one, hope you guys keep holding it down. Later, bye-bye.